Okay, so one of the biggest frustrations and problems with being a creative person, with being someone who creates stuff, is when you're sitting down to create something and your mind is blank. You just can't seem to access any good ideas. You're not really sure what to make. You want to make something. And I don't know about for you, but for me, this situation is extra frustrating because I'm sitting there feeling angsty because I know I've had ideas. I've had a ton of ideas. I know I've been inspired by a ton of things, but I just cannot for the life of me remember any of those things. I'm not being able to channel that inspiration. Or even what's worse is when past me has tried to jot a little note, maybe like one word or something, to tell future me, hey, future me, like you're going to want to create something about this later. And so then I look at this one word, I look at this little lame note that I created, and I can't for the life of me remember why this was so important to me. I just can't remember why this was inspiring to me. I am definitely not inspired by this one word past me. Do better. I need more help. That is a really frustrating situation. I feel really angsty about that when that happens. And it's happened to me so many times. And for years, I have been a big reader, and I tend to get inspiration really throughout my day. While I'm walking, I get inspiration while I'm listening to sermons or podcasts. I get inspiration sometimes even while I'm watching a show. And there were times where I would try to capture that inspiration. I would try to jot something down, but I didn't really have a system for how to find things or how to really channel and access my thoughts when I really need them the most, when I'm ready to create. And so, or for another example, I would highlight things in books. But the problem is that then whenever I'm ready to create, I'm like, oh, I know I had that really good highlight. And so I would go through the book and try to find the thing that I highlighted. But the problem is there's like 30 highlights on a page. And it's just a lot of work, you know? It's a lot of work to go and try to find that one highlight that meant the world to me. And it's very demotivating, and it's very discouraging, and it does not fuel my creative juices to have to go hunt for the thing that meant a lot to me a long time ago. And so over the last few years, I've been growing in something to try to fix this frustration because I've been very frustrated about it. And the biggest thing that has really helped me in skyrocketing my creative juices, my creative output, my creative process, and has really reduced a sense of angst in my creative work has been learning how to take really good notes and how to get really good at capturing my thoughts and ideas when I'm having them. Now, the word note-taking makes me cringe just a little bit, if I'm honest. I'm always afraid to talk to creatives and say, hey, you should get really good at taking notes. Because I know instantly we think about the world of academia, we think about school, we're just thinking about how we used to take notes in math class and history class that didn't mean anything and we never saw again. We never saw after the day we took the note. Because even back then, we're not very good at taking notes. Nobody really taught us how to take good notes. And we didn't really care to reference those notes. That's what I think about, at least, whenever I think about note-taking. And even back then, even in school, note-taking seemed pointless. And so I'm sure when I say note-taking, for many of you, you're like, note-taking? That seems pointless. But here's the thing. I've been learning how to get pretty good at it. And I'm not an expert by any means. There are a lot of ways I want to learn and grow in my process of note-taking. But there are some resources that have been helpful to me that I'm going to share with you in this video that have really helped improve this part of my creative process. And because this part of my creative process has improved, so much of the rest of my creative process has gotten so much better. And so it's been surprising to me too, I have to say, that learning how to take really good notes has not only been really effective and helpful, but it's actually been a lot of fun. That's surprising to me. Maybe I'm just a super nerd and I get nerdy excited about these kinds of things, but I just have a feeling that it could be fun for you to learn how to get good at this as well, because it is fun to learn how to really capture the ideas that you're passionate about, that you're just feeling the mojo about in the moment whenever you're feeling it, to just really have an effective system for capturing that and then communicating to future you in such a way that future you can then rechannel that inspiration and turn it into something creative when you're ready to do so. So I think that's a lot of fun. It's been fun to me. I think it could be fun for you. A lot of learning about how to set up a good note-taking system, to me, honestly feels very similar to learning how to put together a good productivity system. Productivity systems are all about, like, how do you track the things that you need to get done in the various areas of your life. That's something that people have been learning how to manage and how to do well for a long time now. And learning how to take good notes is really similar. As people who create things, how can we learn how to manage all of our thoughts, our inspiration and insights in a way that allows us to have better access to them when we're ready to create? That's really what note-taking is about. That's what capturing ideas is all about. And so getting good at this will create more freedom and fun when it's time to create, like I said, and it will help you create more things than you've ever created before. Because trying to rechannel inspiration can become a bottleneck in your creative process. I know that's been the case for me, because it's really hard to rechannel those ideas and that inspiration if we haven't effectively captured them when we have them. And so I think your output, I know my output has just like 2, 3, 4x'd because it just helps remove that kink from the creative process whenever I can instantly jump back into my ideas, jump back into the things that have inspired me, and I can get straight into creating and assembling and putting the pieces together that I already have. I'm not trying to come up with new pieces. I'm putting together the stuff that I already have, and I'm working on the ideas that I already have. And so I would love to talk to you more about how I do this, what I've learned in other videos, but for now, in this video, I just wanted to inspire you with this idea of getting good at note-taking and share with you some resources on maybe how you could get started if that's something you want to start to grow in more and more. If you want to learn more about this on your own, the first place I would start is that there's 2 really great books that I love. The first one is called How to Take Smart Notes. It's a great book. You should go check it out. I've read it multiple times. I actually have a book review on my blog, and I hope to make a video review of this book in the future as I talk more and more about note-taking. But that is a great place to start, How to Take Smart Notes. The second one is Building Your Second Brain. I'm, to be honest, about 3/4 of the way through this book, but I really love it so far, and I think it's great. I can't wait to finish it. I think it could be helpful to you, and it might even be a little bit better of a place to start for some of you than the other one, because it speaks a little more specifically to creativity, to creative ideas, to people creating content, than the other book. But both are amazing, so you should really check out both. The links are in the description below if you want to catch those, or you can just look them up on Amazon. And then if you're looking for some really good, simple digital tools, 2 that I have used and recommend, one of them is called Roam Research, which was my first really good note-taking tool. A lot of people call it a digital brain or a second brain, and that's exactly what it was for me, and I loved it. I have loved it. I moved away from it within the last year for reasons I can go into in another video, but it's a really great tool and I highly recommend it. I also recommend another tool called Obsidian, which I have recently moved to, and both of these systems are really excellent and they really excel as note-taking second brain, kind of storing and holding all of your creative ideas and all of your creative thoughts, because they are built in such a way that they really operate in this note linking system. So the idea here is that notes, instead of storing them in folders, instead of storing them in these nice little neat places, you're able to link the notes together with one another. So as you're having ideas, you can link them to other notes that relate to those ideas. This is really helpful because it creates a web of thought, and as you're going back through your notes and you're researching and you're pulling up ideas, you can easily allow yourself to go into other ideas and find find ways to synthesize related ideas in a way that just wouldn't happen if you're just trying to, organize and file notes in a particular folder and in a particular system. Again, I am not currently the best at explaining how all this works. We're talking about it, but if you go and you do some research on Roam Research or Obsidian, and then you read these books, you'll better understand how amazing and how effective this can be in helping really unlock your creativity and unlock just your ability to synthesize different kinds of inspiration and different kinds of ideas if you're able to build out what's called a second brain and really get good at capturing your thoughts and ideas in those note-taking resources. So Roam Research, Obsidian, and then if I'm on the go and I can't have access to my bigger second brains, my note-taking systems where I store all of my ideas, what I'll do is if I'm on the go, I use these little field notebooks, and they're really awesome. You just stick them in your pocket. And what I do is I just jot down pretty much anything in here. Any thought or idea I have, any little math equation that I have to do throughout the day as I'm doing finances or something, anything. I just write it in here. And what I do is at the end of the day, sometimes at the end of the week, I just go through my notes and I transfer them into my second brain. I transfer them into my Obsidian account, for example, and then I just cross out the notes to say, hey, this note has been permanently stored and it is no longer needed in this little temporary carrier. And so also, for example, I take my sermon notes in this little field notebook, and then whenever I get home or sometime later, I'll transfer my sermon notes from here into my second brain. So this thing is really helpful. It goes with me everywhere. I have multiple of these once I'm finished with one, I just grab another one and a pen, and it's been awesome. But if for some reason I do not have the field notebook and can't take a physical note, or if I'm just needing to capture something digitally, like a photo that I want to keep for later, I use Apple Notes. It's a great app for taking notes, and it's easy to just pull up, and it works really well if you have an iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, I'm sure there's something similar that you can pull up, but the idea is the same as the field notebook. It's not a place where I keep what's called permanent notes. It's a place where I just jot down ideas for me to come back to later, and I really have to make a point to process through those soon, either at the end of the day, end of the week. If I'm doing not so good at the end of the month, I process through those notes and put them in my big second brain holder and try to find a way to really make sure I'm linking things, linking ideas, linking inspirations to other inspirations, and really writing out my thoughts so that future me can have access to them when I need them. And so that's the system that I use in a very short way of explaining it. And I can totally make more videos in the future. If there's any questions or things that you are wondering about with this, I would love to make more videos for you in the future. Just let me know what your questions are. But for now, go check out those resources. They're a great way to get started. I think spending time on this part of your creative process is incredibly important and ultimately very, very helpful. And so I just highly recommend that you evaluate how you're capturing your thoughts, your ideas, your inspiration, your resources, and the raw materials that you use to create with. So go think about it. Go work on your note-taking. Go evaluate how you're capturing your thoughts and ideas. And I'll see you in tomorrow's video.